Drop me a wave emoji in the chat if you can hear me okay. So it turns out Friday that my mic was crackling a little bit. You guys can let me know if you hear problems like that. Here's what we're doing today. We're talking about when you have this problem where the bust is standing away, but the tension is already okay right here. The tension is tight across the back, at the underarm, but things are just standing away in the front. That's what we want to talk about. For those of you who were in my fitting room finesse boot camp, we are starting to wrap that up. And you saw this a lot with the brides. It's a common problem. Sometimes they just make the cup way too big for the waist and hip measurement on the bride. Sometimes they're just way too pointy. And we have worked on this on live streams before because it's such a common alteration. Um, let's see, I'm still not seeing comments. Are you guys okay with commenting? Are the comments working? Somebody just do a wave emoji or say hello in the comments and let me know if the comments are working okay. I would hate that if I had my settings wrong and I had commenting turned off. Oh, there we go. Arisha, thank you for the wave emoji for letting me know. That also lets me know that you can hear me okay. It's a very unique situation to be in because I can't hear what you guys can hear. So, all right, so this is what we're looking at. The front of the bodice is just standing away too much. So what I was starting to say is we have done this alteration a few times on the live streams, but it's usually like a part of the alteration. We're not usually doing the entire thing. And so today I thought I would like to do the entire thing for you guys. So I'm going to start with lifting this lace off that's here at the top. And you can see this is a overlay piece through here. So we're gonna do a little bit of what we call kind of cut and paste. I'm gonna cut along the shape of this lace here because when we're done, it's either gonna lay right beside each other at a slightly different angle or it's gonna overlap a little bit. And it's fine with me either way. So I'm gonna go like this to get myself up to this seam. Can I pick that away from the edge? I can. It's just a little faster to do it this way, and it doesn't cause any harm. So I'm gonna go through and pick the lace away from the overlay. Wow, this was sewn on so strong. There's no need to be scared, guys. This is not difficult or scary. No, it seems like it is because there's like a razor and you're like, oh, it's a wedding dress. Oh no. But it's really not. This is a very common alteration that we have to do. So this lace has a lot of little vines going across, and I'm just gonna kind of crisscross them so that when I put this back together, they're gonna go like this. I don't want it all to be cut in the same way. I just want it to look very organic when we take this back apart. So I'm gonna continue down on this seam. Guys, beautiful weather this week in my area. Are you gonna have beautiful weather where you live? I really hope so. I'm enjoying this weather not being so hot. All right, we're cutting along here. So there's two layers here if you haven't been able to see that yet. There is the lace layer that's on a tulle background. See that? And then there is the tulle fabric. And that's what I'm working through with this first step, just to get access to everything. So when you see me breaking tulle, I'm breaking the background of the lace, which is just fine. It's also just fine if we get little bitty holes in the tool that everything is mounted to, because it's going to be covered back over with lace. Lace, you know, a lot of people are scared of lace. It's actually very, very forgiving. Oh, so I wanted to talk to you guys about my schedule. You know how I've been doing vertical live streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every week. This Wednesday, I won't be on. So I won't see you again on a vertical live stream until Friday at 1. This Wednesday, I won't be on because I have to be on location. All right, so this was sewn so tightly. They used invisible thread, which is actually like, it's pretty sharp. It can really cut through some fabric. And it's absolutely chewed this. So it's so many stitches. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just kind of a rat's nest of invisible stitches that has absolutely chewed through the tool. Don't let that stress you out. It's not your fault. You just keep on opening this. And don't forget, everything is going to be covered over with lace when we're done. So it's okay. If you were to stop every time you came across lace that had been sewn on so thoroughly that it like pulverized the fabric. Okay, see that? You can even see that. You can see how many stitches they used right there. Absolutely annihilated the netting, and there's no reason for them to do that many stitches. But if you were to stop every time you saw that and say, oh, I can't alter this because they put in too many stitches, if I undo it, it'll just destroy the tool, you probably wouldn't be able to do this alteration very often. We just have to like kind of just deal with it. They go overboard with their invisible stitches. Not sure why. Can be quite damaging, but it's not damage that will be seen. Look at that lace. Absolutely pulverized. Some of this lace I may even swap out with some lace that I have on hand. If it's kind of like too fuzzy and can't be cleaned up well, then that's what we'll do. So I just try to leave things better. It needs to be fitting better and not destroyed. I'm going to come down a little bit lower than what I actually need to do. That way I've got lots of room to taper. That's what gives you nice even alterations. It's going a little bit further than you need to, just to taper in your work. Picking away. Everyone, take a moment and introduce yourself in the comments. Let us know where you're coming from, what you're working on today, and what your favorite category of sewing is. I would love to hear that. It's okay if it's not bridal sewing. We all have different interests, and so much of bridal sewing applies to different types of sewing. That's why I consider my channel not bridal only. So it's great if you're just kind of here to kind of peek in through the windows to see new techniques that you can apply to whatever your favorite kind of sewing is. I've done other types of sewing in the past. I used to make bags. That was one iteration of my job professionally. I did bags, sold them. I did small lines for boutiques. That was fun. Oh, so many threads. All right, but we've kind of got her open. Now we need to open this area and lift the boning. You can do this from the outside or the inside. It doesn't matter. If this was like a Mikado on the top layer, kind of unforgiving, I would be opening this from the inside by breaking the stitches. Um, every 3 or 4 stitches on the top side, bottom side. I would just break where the seam starts and ends and then pull that thread out. But this is a perfectly reasonable way of cracking into this. This is horsehair braid. A lot of times you'll see this construction. You'll have horsehair braid that's along the seam of the bust, and it's on this shell layer, that main solid layer. We call that the shell. And then you're going to see the boning on the lining layer. It's a very common configuration. I'm going to peel this boning away. This is a million times faster than a seam ripper. Million jillion times faster. Again, I'm going to pull this away a little bit more than we need to. Then I'm going to clean things up because I don't want threads everywhere while I'm working. And look at all the threads. We have so many. I'm going to be sewing back through this. I don't want this cap to fall off, so I'm going to go ahead and really sew her down. We lost our little poster. Can you see that okay? This is just to orient people when they join the call so they know what's going on. And all right, so I've got her opened up. We still need to open up this lining layer. And I'm going to show it to you from the inside. All right. There we go. Completely opened that up. Now we're going to go from underneath here. Grabbing this point. And I'm going to turn her inside out. Now we just need to do the same alteration a few times. This is a great stopping point for me to read your comments. Drop any questions that you have thus far. Go ahead and drop them in so I can talk to you about them while I show you the answer. Because once I start sewing it up, you may not know. Let's see. All right. Amanda, hi from Memphis. Hello. Ajamoki, hi. Did I say your name right? Vanessa, hello, Vanessa. Christy, good afternoon. Let's see. Ajamoki is coming from Maryland. Is it Ajamoke or Ajamoki? Arisha or Arisha, we're having good weather in Northern California. Yes, Memphis, August heat. Amina, hi, I'm new here. Well, hello, Amina. Fun fact, when I was a kid, Amina was my favorite name. And I wanted to name my child Amina so bad, okay? I was 7. Okay, so I was like 6 or 7, and I was in a class with a girl named Amina, and I just loved her name. And I came home from school, and I was like, I want to name my child Amina. And, you know, my mom's like, you're 7, sit down. So she got me a teddy bear for Christmas, and I named it Amina. So my beloved teddy bear, the most beloved teddy bear. How many of you had a most beloved teddy bear? If you did, put a teddy bear emoji in the chat. Well, my most beloved one, you know, the one that has the velvet rubbed off of the nose, that was Amina, and I still own her to this day. So I love your name. Joy, perfect timing. She's altering a dress right now with this problem. Christy is in Wisconsin and she's making pajamas. Susanna from Rochester, she's working on a 15-point ballroom bustle. Okay, so your hair is a mess, right? Absolute fave is the satisfaction of pulling a spaghetti strap down into the gown to shorten. Yes, that makes it so easy, huh? Let's see. Making a linen dress, Mary, for her 89-year-old mother. That's amazing. Amina is from Algeria. How cool. Well, I'm glad you guys are loving this live. If we have no questions, we're going to continue on. Darla is making 14 pocket squares today. You know what? I need to make, I forget how many hankies. I've got to order for a bunch of hankies. Okay, guys, so when you are reducing this bust angle right here, okay, and a lot of times it's called a small bust adjustment, but I feel like that's not a good term because it's not always addressing exactly what we're doing, okay? We're not just sizing the cup down one size smaller, which is what a small bust adjustment means. Sometimes we're lowering the apex. We get that a lot with our short-waisted brides. The apex is just way too high and perky. Look at the angle of this apex. Woo! Okay. So we're going to be lowering things and also doing a small bust adjustment. It's two different things we have going on here. So technically, I think that they're both under the heading of small bust adjustment. But just so you know, when I use those terms interchangeably, that's what I'm talking about. When you're making this change, you're going to find this piece is the one that has most of the curve. This center front piece doesn't have as much curve. So most of your work is going to go into this piece. I'm going to sketch this for you so you can know what in the world I'm talking about. I'll use this paper right here behind me. This is from our last live stream. All right, so when you are doing this, if you just have to bring this in just a little bitty bit right here, just a little bitty bit, you don't even have to undo the fabric a lot of times. You can just pinch it and take it in and it's still smooth. If you have to do it any significant amount though, this is what you're looking at. Here's your center front piece of your bodice, right? This is the piece. This is how it's shaped. This is the piece that really establishes the size of the cup, okay? And then this is your side seam here going to your back. And then this piece is going to your zipper, all right? This is the view we have. This is how a dress looks if you lay it out. Just like that. All right, so the way that we're gonna alter this is mostly here and a little bit here. All right, this is such an important alteration to know how to do. Now we also need to tip this back a little bit. So I'm also probably gonna add a little dart right here. Okay, so remember, this is the side seam. This is the main place we're working. And then we're probably gonna do a little dart just to angle it back a little bit more. I love illustrating alterations. Do any of you love drawing? I love drawing. And it was kind of like when I was a kid, I was sad because I was like, I'll never be able to have a profitable job drawing. If I do something artistic, I'm going to be a starving artist. I really thought that when I was a kid. And then here I am. I get to doodle with my job. Okay, so I can tell now that I need to move this boning out of the way even more. So I'm just gonna really get it out of the way. It takes seconds to sew it back on. So I'm not really concerned about that. We just need it out of the way. All right, so I would like to end up kind of in the same spot right here. And I'd like to start kind of in the same spot. So I only disconnected, remember, I only disconnected that lace at the edge just because the angle of it may change a little bit. I'm really not sizing down the edge. All right, so I'm gonna start at the very tippy top at the original seam. Is my microphone crackling? Because another thing I would like to know, is it doing it during the live or is it just the recording? All right, so see how I've got these laying here? Yeah, you guys can see that. I'm gonna pull this peak out to the side and barely pull this out. And I'm gonna come right inside of this original seam on this top layer. That way I'm only bringing that in just a little bitty bit. The bride had the idea that all she needed was extra bust pads. A lot of times that's what you hear when this alteration is needed. Oh, we just need a little bit of extra bust pads. Now, at this point, if the bride, I don't know, if I had, so sorry, I've been trying to hold that back for a little bit. If I had a lot of confidence that the bride's size was going to remain the same, I would just trim this away now. But I do not have that confidence. This bride, I'm actually going to have to shorten this. A lot of times we end up having to. This bride's weight is fluctuating. Like every time I see her, I'm altering the dress. So we've altered the dress probably 4 times. And she's not being an easy client. A reasonable bride who would listen to reason and not just be like kind of pulled around back and forth by her emotions. A reasonable bride would say, hey, my weight fluctuates a lot, so let's just do these alterations closer to the wedding date so the fit is fresh. And so we're not stressing ourselves out by coming in and, oh, no, it doesn't fit. Oh, no, it doesn't fit. It fits today. Next week it doesn't fit. That would be reasonable. That's the common way of doing it, but that's not the approach she's taking. She thinks to alleviate her anxiety, she wants more fittings, and she wants to be able to see it fit her regardless of her fluctuations. It's insane. Okay, so do you ever fire a client? Let me know in the chat if you ever fire a client. If you don't do professional sewing, let me know if you've ever had to fire even just like a family member that you were sewing for and you had to be like, you know what? This is getting crazy. I don't know why this like shifted so badly, but it did. I'm gonna have to reset the top of this. I would love to hear your stories in the chat. You can actually write more than just like a couple words. Tell me, tell me about the time that you've had to fire a client. So I don't have plans to fire her. I'm gonna come up from the bottom this time. I don't have plans to fire this client. I don't normally do that. I like to see them through to the end, uh, regardless of what their issues are. I am a veteran sewist, seamstress, seamster, sewer, whatever you want to call it. We don't get up in arms about that around here. We just call ourselves what we want. But I am a veteran, so I've kind of seen it all. So it's not like her irrational way of approaching this process is gonna cause me to not do a good job on her dress. I'll be fine. Also, the adjustments aren't taking very long because I'm not sewing up the lace to cover the seams. So there's that. But yeah, she's come for 3 or 4 fittings, size fittings. And we haven't been able to move on to the hem yet. Look at how beautiful that is, guys. Beautiful. So much better. See that angle? The apex is lower, and we took out all this extra. So hopefully it will fit her much better now. So now we need to do the same thing on the other side. So yeah, I'm not going to fire her, but I will definitely give her boundaries. I've told her, if she's going to stress about the, like, how, okay, she's given me this. Let me tell you what she's giving me. She's giving me, but it's getting closer to my date and I'm getting stressed out. Okay, she's giving me that. Even though, like, she's admitted and agrees, it's her weight fluctuation that has been the issue. It's not my sewing. I've sewn for her however she wants all along the way. So that's not the problem. So with her saying that, I've just said, oh, okay, that's fine. Well, then we'll just finish up the dress to fit you and you can take it home like Friday. She backed way off because then she's like, no, but then it won't fit on my wedding day if I fluctuate. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. So that's kind of the way I handled that, was I let her respond with what really is the voice of reason. It's the reasonable conclusion. So that way she feels like she's in control. She's calling the shots of when she gets it and all that. Sometimes that's an element. But within her answer, she's understanding. She's understanding what the problem is. The problem is we're humans and our bodies change. And I don't think you really do want your dress way ahead of time. So maybe don't complain about that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and add one more seam that I didn't take this in like super tight. I didn't really size it down quite enough. It's almost enough. But I did that with this size was on top, so I couldn't really see what I was doing. Just because I knew it would walk the best. Now I'm going to come in and actually adjust the shape of this. So I'm saying here's where I want the apex to hit. And then I'm going to bring it in just a shade more. Just like that. So you can have 2 lines of stitches really close to each other, but they have like slightly different expressions in the way they affect the dress. All right, so we're going to put this horsehair braid back down. I'm going to start from the bottom again. This dress is kind of bulky. I'm sorry, it's kind of in the way. All right, I'm centering the horsehair braid on that seam. Again, I would cut the seam allowance away, and I probably will end up cutting it away later on down the line. but we'll see. So with the horsehair braid, you really kind of need to sew it twice so it doesn't get flippy. With that 1/4 inch wide boning that we have here, I did a single row of stitches. Ideally you do two, but you don't have to. If it's kind of like a flimsy fabric and it might will flip, you have to do two. You definitely have to do two when you do the 1/2 inch on some curve like this. But this dress has a lot of layers and I'm gonna be stabilizing them together. The stabilizing is gonna keep this from flipping. So I didn't sew that twice, just in case any of you are wondering. It really does, it's like a case by case basis for the narrow boning. The textbook answer is always sew it twice. What actually happens in the trenches is not that. Just because I know that there's a step further down the line that's going to take care of the same issue. All right, so I'm rolling this side back to make sure this is nice and flat. It's not getting bucked up. All right, so we've got that. Now, let's check her out. If the outer layer didn't have a couple layers of tulle and lace, I would have also sewn the tulle by machine when I was in there. That's not really necessary for this situation. That looks great. We really sized that down. That looks beautiful, and it's not even pressed yet. All right, so what we're doing in this situation is I'm laying the tulle over and laying the tulle over. So I'm actually gonna put this on a tailor's ham on the ironing board. I'm gonna lay it over. See what I'm talking about? Look, it was over here. Even though I never took up that top part, isn't that fascinating? The angle has changed, and so now it's overlapping. Tuck that back. Okay. So I'm going to press this on a tailor's ham. And then hand stitch all this down. We're just overlapping. I'm pinning. And this right here was that taper I was talking about. So I'm just going to kind of fold that a little bit. And that will be part of the pressing process as well. I would fold it, press it, and then a piece of lace is definitely going over this. So let's look at this cup. The shape of it now, as opposed to this cup. You can see just how much of an angle and how perky it is compared to this one. So there we go. That is the entire process, except for, like I said, the pressing and the hand sewing. We definitely have that in our content. And then again, when I was talking about the dart, I would put that about right here. So I would cut around here, lift this away, put in a dart, in both layers, and then cover it back over with the lace, and then she'll be good to go there. Let me check and see if you guys have any comments. Learning this alteration is a game changer for your business. Let's see. You guys are chatting it up. Thank you so much. By the way, will you hit the like button for me? We have got about 40 people on the stream and only 12 thumbs up. Let's get that number up. That's really going to help me with YouTube. I'm not asking you for money. No, nope. I'm just asking you for the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm asking you for engagement, and I love these comments. All right, let's see. Poopy Pies retimed and cleaned and oiled the machine today. Let's see. I'm repairing the strap on a leather bag as I watch. The side panel is what gets adjusted instead of the front panel. They both get adjusted, but definitely this one gets adjusted more because that's where your cup size is coming in. This is more the width of your centerpiece. This is more like the space from bust to bust. That's more what this is. So this is like how broad the bride is. This is the cup size. So that's what we're altering more, if that makes sense. Let's see. Illustrations make it really easy to understand what you're teaching. Thank you so much. Arisha, I love the dart idea. Otherwise, it sometimes pinches too much of the princess seam. Yes, you don't want to do everything at one seam. I have found the more seams you work on, the more custom the look. You get less pulling, like the fit is just really perfected. 360 around that bride if you work on more seams. Audio has been clear, no issues with pops or letters sounding heavy on my end. Vanessa, it's only cracking during the playback. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for helping me. I'm gonna let my AV guy know that because we've been troubleshooting and we can't figure it out. So thank you so much. Poopy Pies, unrealistic expectations only lead to someone's feelings getting hurt. That's right. Half of bridal is psychology. You got that right, Vanessa. Christy, I haven't fired any family. Just struggling to get measurements while being pressured to make something. Isn't that the truth? They want you to make them a gown, but they don't want to show up to get measured. That happens. Spill It Boy TV, I most certainly have fired a client. It isn't a good feeling, but sometimes it's better for both of us. Isn't that true? Darla says, so I had a bride. It sounds like she's getting ready to give us tea. Let me get my little teacup out. She's getting ready to give us tea. My teacup pincushion. So I had a bride that wanted a custom dress. I realized that when she came in for her second fitting that she thought it would be complete. Oh no. Every time we met, which is a lot since she changed the design. Yeah, so every time she came, she thought it would be done. And let me guess, you told her over and over, no, it's a process. But sometimes they don't hear anything unless like it's what they want to hear, if that makes sense. Oh, Poopy Pies, that's so wise. I only sew for fun and I refuse to take on family client projects because I don't want to grow to hate my hobby. Way to guard your hobby. That's awesome. Darla says I finally gave up and gave her money back. Sometimes you have to. Vanessa says I add a PETA line item charge in the range estimate just in case Bridezilla emerges. And if the scope changes, for sure have the convo about additional charge. Isn't that the truth? Let's see. Vanessa, when I learned the small bust adjustment technique, it totally changed my business model. Fearless now. Ain't that the truth? SBA technique. That's the small bust adjustment. Amanda, thank you. She's got my back. She said she means the like button, guys. The emojis help too. But yeah, definitely Booping that like button is such a blessing. And Dennis Dad is giving me lots of engagement with little pecks on the keyboard. Un nombre nuevo says hi. Hello. Spill It Boy TV. I love the little teacup. I love it too. Isn't that fun? Well, you guys have a lovely rest of the week. Don't forget, this week's program's a little bit different. Our programming schedule. Wednesday at 1, we're not meeting this week. I'm not going to see you again on a vertical live stream until Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've already put that on my channel homepage. So if you go to youtube.com/at bridal sewing and go to the live tab, you will see the upcoming lives and all my past lives. So you'll see my next live stream is Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you guys then. Drop a wave emoji, drop a heart emoji if you enjoy these vertical live streams. Have a super blessed week, guys. I really appreciate you being here. Take care.